So we're going to draw a sphere. This is what I want you to do with your paper. You lay it out the way I showed you in the previous video, and then tape it off around the edges of those items, those rectangles. Either blue tape or masking tape will do. First thing to do, well, let's talk about materials first. You'll need a charcoal pencil, and you will need a piece of the compressed charcoal that comes in that orange and white box, and then sand it down so that it looks something like one of these. I'm trying to get those where you can see them. You'll need a paper towel, the softer the better, or a cotton shirt, an old shirt. And you'll need your chamois. Now mine, I just washed it some and it looks pretty ugly, but it still works. You need to start off by drawing a circle. If you want to use a template like this, you can. And this is where you can use the pencil. This is the only time then draw in a, you could call it horizon line, or the back of the table. So tonight we're doing the sphere. On Wednesday night, I will post a demonstration for the value scale, so be sure and watch for that. First thing you need to do once you have your object drawn is determine the direction of light, where it's coming from. We're going to make it coming in like this. So that means there'll be a direction of light coming about like that. Then we need to have the line that divides the light from the shadow. Now notice I'm using the side of my charcoal. I don't want to have a hard line here. It should be a nice soft line. You don't want to go like this. Have this hard line. It should be a nice soft line. You're actually drawing part of an ellipse that would go all the way around the ball to the other side. You then have a cast shadow. I'm drawing, which is basically an ellipse also. Now, how do you know where the cast shadow starts and ends? If you have the angle of light, you draw a line parallel to that angle of light by each edge. That will give you where the cast shadow starts and ends. It's basically an ellipse too. Now, you're going to be tempted to bring that shadow up too much like that. Keep it narrow. It's just going to be about like that. Also, when you draw this line, this division between light and shadow, where that line meets the edges of the outer circumference of the circle, they should be at a position that if you draw a line straight across, that line will go through the middle of the circle. There's a tendency to bring it up too high, like that. Don't do that. Use this guide that I just told you. Keep all these structure lines light. All right, once you get this, this is going to be the core shadow that we talked about in the last video. Now I'm coming in and giving more beef to that. And I'm using my charcoal flat like this, and I'm kind of going like this. I'm exaggerating it there, but I'm doing that so that I don't get hard edges here and here. I want to keep it pretty soft. I'm also going to give a bit of a core down here. In fact, here at this school, I've never heard this term anywhere else, but it's a good term, the sit core. This is the core shadow, this is the sit core. And then just lay in tone at about a 60% gray. In fact, if you look up here, let's say that is 100%, 0%, 50%, 60% would be a little darker than that. So I'm just laying that in. And then same thing down here. Lay it in kind of freely. Then, very important, you lay in tone in the background. So space tone, you got to get that in at about a 60%. Next step is you take your paper towel, not your chamois, your paper towel, and you destroy your drawing. Without pressing hard, just lightly, you glaze, is what this is called. This is glazing. You're taking all of that charcoal and rubbing it around in order to make an overall tone. So part of your drawing, you won't be drawing with your charcoal. You'll be drawing with your chamois and eraser, as I will show you un momento. Okay, you're going to be tempted, if you have a place that doesn't look even, to come in and press real hard. Don't do that. Oh, another thing, be sure you do not lay down any charcoal in the areas that are light, in the white mass, in the light mass, I mean. The light mass, which includes all of this actually here, out here too, you do not lay down any charcoal from your charcoal. The only charcoal that gets on there is that which is glazed across it. Right in here, you can do it a little bit more where you need that transition halftone. Then, once you get that much done, come in with your chamois and you start lifting off. Again, don't press too hard. Yours will lift off a little better because this one is so used. So you lift off here, and then as you move down, you press lighter and lighter so that you're leaving a halftone. Another very important thing is don't neglect these lights. Getting all of the light lightened up is important to make it all work together. If you don't, it just won't look as good. You won't get the sense of illumination coming down on this whole area. Okay, so with that little bit of work so far, I've got a pretty good thing started. From there, I can do two things. You usually have to come back and reestablish darks because you spread it around so much. Putting in a little more there. I'm going to put in a little more here into the core shadow. For right now, that's all I'm going to do, but I'm also going to come in. That's with a kneaded eraser. And lift out more. Again, I'm pressing medium hard here. Hope I'm not in your way. I don't have Ritesh to call out to me to say, Mr. Garnes, shoulder's in the way. Okay, so I'm going lighter here. You can see how we're getting more illumination down here.
Often the lightest part of the ground plane is right there where the object is sitting on the ground plane.
Here. Now this time, because the paper towel takes off more of the charcoal, I'm going to use my fingers. You want to be careful with your fingers because they have oil.
So I've darkened the core and the background.
Also, what you don't want is a halo. That background should come right up to the surface of the ball. Here's another important thing that often creates problems is the reflected light starts getting too light. Notice, I haven't really erased out the reflected light. I just left it what it was from the initial lay-in of value and then made the core shadow and the sit core darker. One last thing. Oh, I don't see it. Here it is. I use my white chalk to give me a highlight right there. Now, as I look at this, I still would like to have more halftone, midtone. They're both the same thing. I'm going to put some charcoal on there. Use a part of my paper towel that has quite a bit of charcoal and start pulling it up into there. So there's more halftone happening. I'm moving back a ways to look at it. I just made a weird mark. So I'm going to have to see if I can fix that. See, it's coming along. It's looking more like a full-blown sphere there. A little bit of irregularity isn't going to hurt you. This could be taken further, but for the demonstration, that's as much as I'm going to show you. And this is what I want you to get started on tonight. I might give you some pictures of ones that are more finished, and you can see how far you can take this. Now, lots of times you go back and forth. You keep glazing, putting in charcoal, lifting out. This is the process that you need to use and learn how to do it. Thank you.